My name is Marco Hanna from PhoneDog.com. In the past couple of weeks, the Oppo N1 has been one seriously popular device all over the internet, not only because of its ginormous display, but Cyanogenmod and this amazing tank-like build that I talked about in the review. But this is not the first Android phablet device to win the love of millions of people. That title still belongs to the Samsung Galaxy Note. So this is the dogfight that everyone's been waiting for. It's the Oppo N1 versus the Samsung Galaxy Note 3. So let's get into this full dogfight right here at PhoneDog.com, and let's get started. You already know I'm a fan of Oppo's N1. It's a really cool phone, and I do enjoy having such a well-built device. However, in my honest and rather biased opinion, I'm not a fan of a Galaxy Note 3. On paper, the Note 3 does have an overall advantage in every single area other than the front-facing camera. The Note 3 has a 2.3 GHz quad-core Snapdragon 800 processor, 3 GB of RAM, an Adreno 330 GPU, and expandable storage. The battery life is huge, lasting over a full day to a single charge. That's not 8 or 12 hours, that's a full 24 hours or more on one single battery charge. The display may be a little smaller than the Oppo N1 at 5.7 inches, but it still packs the same resolution, full 1920 by 1080, and a whopping 386 pixels per inch. It is a Super AMOLED, which looks great anywhere other than the outdoors. That's just the downside with these kind of displays. The Note 3 has a 13 megapixel rear-facing camera that takes good stills. It can also shoot 4K video, which is unheard of in any mobile device. Well, that's until the Galaxy Note 3 came along. The front-facing camera isn't so good, but it's of good quality, and it's decent for self-portraits and checking your makeup if you do that sort of thing, and it's also pretty good for video calling. The Oppo N1 has some decent specs compared to the Note 3, but obviously they are inferior. The N1 does have a quad-core processor, but it's only clocked in at 1.7 GHz. And has a previous generation Adreno 320 GPU and only 2 GB of RAM. The numbers are still good, however. One giant downside is the storage is all internal. There is no option to add any more. That's just how it comes out of the box. That's just something we can't change, but the good news is since the battery is sealed, the battery life is actually a little bit better than the Note 3 thanks to a larger battery. The display is a little larger than the Note 3 at 5.9 inches and it has 377 pixels per inch. It may be a little bit less in quantity in terms of pixel density, but seriously guys, you cannot distinguish any pixels on both of these devices, so please save the pixels per inch war for another time. It's just not that big of a difference between these two phones. However, you can say the IPS LCD is a little bit more washed out, but at least it works outdoors and it does have some pretty astonishing viewing angles. The camera on the back and the front is this massive articulating 13 megapixel camera sensor. Photos from this camera are pretty good. Not as good as the Note 3 in terms of detail, but they are really high up there. The big feature with the Oppo One is the ability to swing around the camera to become a selfie 13 megapixel glorified HD shooter for Twitter and Facebook. I'll let you rate this since I'm not the selfie type. Now, build quality is becoming more and more important. You could say thank you to iPhones, Lumias, and the Oppo N1. Quite frankly, the Note 3 feels like a toy after you pick up the Oppo N1, but there is an upside. The N1 is huge, it's heavy, and it's a very big device. The Note 3 delivers a whole phablet experience with a phone measuring in smaller than its predecessor while carrying a larger display. You're probably asking how they do that. They cut every single bezel out of the phone. It's basically just a display. It's compact, it's thin. The Oppo N1 has mile-long bezels, and the build that feels more like a Humvee rather than a Range Rover. It's a weird analogy, but it works. Two cars that do similar things, but in very different ways. Next, I do want to bring up the software. It's not fair in my opinion to compare these two since one device can run technically two versions of software. The Galaxy Note 3 runs a normal version of Android that has been pimped out by Samsung. It brings bright colors, goofy animations, and these sound effects that should belong on a Fisher-Price tool. No, seriously, with all joking aside, TouchWiz has really evolved into something as a normal thing to use. I turn off all the sound effects and it actually feels like a good skin for Android. The widgets are great and you don't lose your customization from Android. I only wish that Samsung didn't make so many applications to bloat your phone though. It really feels like buying Windows Vista Ultimate or something. TouchWiz for the Note 3 has been completely optimized to take full advantage of the S Pen, and we will get to that in just a bit. Now, the Oppo N1 can run two softwares, like I said earlier. The first one is Android 4.2 with ColorOS, which is Oppo's own custom Android skin. It's fine, really, nothing too fancy, and everything just kind of works. I do think the icons are goofy, but I can live with it. You do have a little bit more customization when it comes to the themes on the ColorOS, and you can download as many as you want. It's cool, but nothing too unique. The second software, and by far the most popular for this phone, is called Cyanogenmod. It still looks and feels like a normal Android device, but it opens up a world of possibilities to the end user. You could change simple things or do more advanced commands, like telling how fast your processor should overclock itself. Kinda crazy stuff, but super cool if you're into that. I really don't want to dive into Cyanogenmod because this video would become 2 hours long, but if you do want more about Cyanogenmod, you should go definitely check out their website. Now, one of the most important tests for really any device these days are the real-world usability. Specs on paper are one thing, but if it doesn't deliver in the real world, then they really are irrelevant. Both of these devices are powerhouses, with the Note delivering more power than the N1. Opening the same applications like the Play Store happened a little bit quicker on the Note 3. This was done on the same Wi-Fi network. The biggest difference you'll see is gaming performance. Playing Temple Run on the Note 3 is a pretty seamless experience. Load times are quicker, frame rates feel smoother, and the whole gaming experience just seems a little bit more complete than the Oppo N1. The N1 delivers not far off performance though. It may be a couple seconds behind, but it's not too bad. But when you do less graphic intensive things like checking email, surfing the web, watching videos and movies, and other things, we do have pretty similar performances. Nothing is really standing out from either of these. Now the biggest difference lies in the user interactions. The Oppo N1 is a large smartphone while the Note 3 has its trusty S Pen. Regardless if you use it or not, the S Pen just makes more sense on a phone with a 6-inch display. It does work, and it works really well. The N1 works with your finger, but it doesn't have the built-in integration of being a notepad plus a smartphone. So in the end, the Note 3 does have the upper hand in this battle. It does make more sense to own as an everyday device. You can own an N1, but it's heavy, and it's quite a bit bigger than the Note 3. But the Note 3 delivers more real-world performance inside a smaller, more compact design, and somehow a little bit more pocketable than the Oppo N1. Thanks for watching our video. Make sure to hit that subscribe button and the like button for more great content. But for now, my name is Marco Hanna from PhoneDog.com, and I'll see you guys in the next video.